Now, in the build-up to the presidential elections in 2027, the All Progressives Congress APC has been relatively quiet, you could say, due in part to his tidy choice of keeping incumbent President Bola Tinubu as flag bearer. Things in other parties have been kind of messier, you could say that, with the PDP struggling through a chaotic neck-meeting and factional conflict threatening to destabilize the Labour Party. The factions from other parties and victories in local government elections have only strengthened the ruling party's ranks ahead of the general elections. But the polls are still a year and a half away, and a lot could still change in politics. So what is the APC doing to tighten its hold on power as 2027 approaches? I'm joined now in the studio by the National Secretary of the All Progressives Congress, Senator Ajibola Basiru. Good to have you, Senator.
Yeah, good evening, Charles.
Ndi, not Charles.
Ndi,
yeah.
Okay.
I've had you before, so
yeah.
But it's understandable. Well, let's start with your thoughts on the political scene, the issue of campaigns before time. Your party is being fingered of flouting electoral laws and the fact that INEC is not able to punish defaulters. Let's start with that.
I think it would be very wrong for anybody to say that our party is flouting an electoral law. We have not started any campaign. On the contrary, it is the so-called opposition that are, because they don't have any work doing now. You know, we are very busy, with the work of governance, so we don't have time for that. But you see, every now and then, they are the one coming out. And of course, when your opponent raises issues, you are bound to respond. For instance, maybe they are the one doing the campaign for the APC. For instance, if you raise issue about economy, you raise issue about security, you raise issue about infrastructure, you are asking about our scorecard, we cannot take our mouth and take it to a dry cleaner. We have to respond to it. But in all manner, when it comes to ethical governance, our party is very strong in that. About the only political party that puts its account in the public in line with the provision of Constitution and Electoral Act, and we stay strictly within the ambit of the law in terms of campaign. So we are not doing any campaign for now. We are concerned about governance, we are concerned about consolidating, and of course there's a difference between engaging electoral campaign and political activities. For instance, about a week ago, there was a stakeholder meeting of our party in Bayelsa State, which we attended. As I speak now, just a day for now, our national chairman is in Plateau conducting medical outreach. We can continue to conduct activities to engage the people, sensitize them. That is different from campaigning. It's only after a flag bearer at the march that you can actually talk about campaign. But in terms of responding to the shenanigans of the opposition, we are up and alive to always respond to some of the things they raise. And some of them are very comical, and in certain circumstances we don't even bother to respond to some of those comical statements from the opposition.
Well, people have talked about signposts, rallies, seeing the president's post on signboards and here and there. Are they not campaigns?
That's not from our political party. Maybe some overzealous individual. I'm the national secretary of the party, and I can say on oath, I'm a notary public, that our party has not endorsed anybody to come up to conduct campaign on behalf of the party. But of course, it's for the law enforcement agent to be able to look out from what sources are those coming in. And don't be too surprised, my brother, that even some opposition elements may also be able to engage in that. I've seen instances when people print out posters for their opponent in order to be able to create a scenario. But as far as I'm concerned, a dime has not come out of the cover of the APC nationally and at a state level to embark on any merchandising on behalf of the president. All right, the work of the president will speak for him when the time comes.
The work of the president will speak for him. We'll get to that. What do you make of this? INEC just listed 14 parties for the next physical verification. I think it's on Tuesday, today, or is it tomorrow? Is it the more the merrier, or does it make it easy for your candidate if he eventually agrees to run, the president, in 2027, or does it make it harder for him to win?
I think, you see, the issue of registration of more political parties and of course the chest beating from certain opposition elements show the cacophony that is actually going on in the rank of the opposition in Nigeria. In one breath, there is still, hues and cries about APC, turning Nigeria to a single party state. At the same time, you see the hues and cries about forming some form of rudderless coalition. At the same time, you also see the rush to register several political parties. The question is that, how do you synergize? What is the point of symphony, if I may use music language, between somebody saying that you are working towards a one-party state, and of course the hustle and bustle of activity of the opposition, and then the rush to register about 400 political parties, out of which INEC has said is going to verify. As far as are concerned, our eyes is always on the ball, and that is being able to take every election as they come. August 16 was a test run about the electoral viability of our party, even though we are party in power. But that election, 70 constituencies was in play, and our party was able to win 40. So what we are saying is that our eyes is on the ball. We contest election, and we are not bothered about what the opposition is doing in fact, I would say, if I may use that word, the strategy of the APC, we use blue ocean strategy. We don't fish in the same water.
Blue ocean
strategy.
What's that strategy?
I think it's a strategy in business administration whereby you look at the green feed rather than a feed that's already brown. We don't look at what opposition is doing, because they use the same
blue ocean strategy.
We use the same. They use the same tactics of going smear campaign in the media, propaganda. That's not our own.
Now you've talked about smear campaign. Before I continue with the election matter, the opposition is saying that the government in power is using state apparatus to intimidate its members. The case of Ajibola, the case of El-Rufai, that what the opposition, I had Bolaji Abdullahi here. He said, I'm not against anybody coming to answer questions, but what is against is media trial. What do you make of that statement?
I don't work for the EFCC. And I'd say that I don't have control over the workings of EFCC.
And I said the government is using the apparent security agencies.
I'm a lawyer, I'm a legal practitioner. Yeah. You only deal with concrete facts and analysis. For those who have said the government is using them, perhaps they should come up with a circular or maybe some kind of communication that show the nexus between people who are being investigated for criminal offenses and then the government. The fact that you are opposition or the fact you are in government does not create immunity against you from criminal investigation and criminal prosecution. And there are also members of our political party that are currently facing trial for some form of criminal activity. Nigerian law, except for president and the governors and the deputy governor, there is no immunity against criminal prosecution. So the fact that you are a member of opposition and questions are being asked about what you have done as in government will not mean that it is allegation of a government. So you must come with concrete fact. We should also remind ourselves, when we were in opposition, President Bola Tinubu was here, charged before the Code of Conduct. He won the case. And that will not stop us from continuing to conduct our then opposition activity. I think if you are in opposition, you should be able to come with verifiable facts to be able to link whatever you are making clear. But it's easier for you to just say because you are in opposition, that's why you are being tried. The question is this: if you know that there's no offense against you, get lawyers. Nigerian constitution guarantee presumption of innocence until you are found guilty. So you should not be afraid that you are being prosecuted at all. Prosecution does not mean persecution, and it does not mean that you'll be found guilty ultimately, because there's presumption. In fact, the jurisprudence, the Anglo-Nigerian criminal jurisprudence, is to the effect that even 1,000 criminals should even be left off the hook, and that's why the presumption of innocence and also the threshold of proof is beyond reasonable doubt for criminal prosecution.
That's how it is said. I want to be able to get in as much. We'll probably get to back to the election issue if we have time. But Keyamo wants PDP against fielding Jonathan. Keyamo is of the APC. Says Obi as VP to Atiku. Is Obi going back to his vomit? Wike on his part says bringing Obi back will destroy the PDP. Then Paul Ibe, the spokesperson of Atiku Abubakar, says when the ruling party officials begin to dictate to the opposition, it shows fear. Is the ruling party afraid of the opposition, particularly the ADC that seems to be making waves, and the PDP that seems to have a grip on itself with the recent meetings he has held? What do you think?
My brother, the two individuals who have mentioned are not known to speak for the APC. I don't know Mr. Yuson Wike, Barrister Wike, to be a member of our party. So if he's coming up with an opinion,
no, I call Keyamo.
Keyamo is but it's not. It doesn't come to my secretariat. He's not a member of the National Working Committee. He's not a member of NEC. It's what he has expressed, his own personal opinion. That's not should not be seen as position of the party. As far as APC is concerned, when you want to know, they call alter ego. The alter ego of our party is the National Working Committee of the party. As of today, the National Working Committee has not met and taken a position to be able to meddle into whoever emerges as candidate. And I will tell you, at the list of being accused of chest beating and immodest, we are ready to field our presidential candidate against any other person, and we are not at all perturbed by whoever is forming any alliances, any form of coalition, or any form of what Mr. President called coalition of confusion.
Coalition of confusion. So you're not afraid of what he calls coalition of confusion. Interesting how you people cook up words. Keyamo called, he said, I think it was him that said ADC's is the Association of Disgruntled, I don't know, there was a way he put it and all that. But
somebody call it article defected again.
Oh, ADA.
ADA.
Okay. All right. Well, some leaders of the North say you cannot determine who becomes president without the North. That's what it is saying. And that based on the policies of this present government, the North has been marginalized. And the North are not happy with this government and will decide where to go when the time comes.
You see, I'm a student of logic. There's what is called fallacy of hasty generalization. Fallacy of hasty generalization. Who is the North? And who is speaking on behalf of the North? And when, as a referendum being conducted for somebody to aggregate the opinion of the North, as of today, the strongest support of our party, the APC, is from the North. If going by even the recent, election
that was in the past election.
We just did election August 16th. That's just a month ago. By election in the North. Let me tell you, we had an election. I want to know. I'm not talking of opposition. I'm not talking. You're talking North now. You said about North, and I'm talking of. My theory is about fallacy of hasty generalization. You see, it's assumed. Some people think on their brain that as an individual they are speaking for the North, but the truth is that from what you know, in terms of our analysis, our data gathering, our party is very strong. In fact, the strongest point of our party today is in the North. And I want to give example. I'm not a flimsy person. And I want to say the only way you measure your success is not by people coming on television like as I do, but on election. The most recent contest of election that we have had in Nigeria is the by-election in 12 states. And we had election in northern part of the country. We have election in Jigawa, APC won, House of Rep. 3 elections in Kaduna State, APC won all of them. We have election in Savara State, where even we are not the ruling party, APC won. In Taraba State, we are not the ruling party, we won. Also in Kano, where NPP was the ruling party, NNPP won, and APC won. So in all the election that was done in the northern part of the country, except one House of Assembly seat, APC won all the others. So if anybody is coming here to beat his chest and say he's speaking on behalf of the North, perhaps he's speaking for himself, or perhaps is only engaging in what we call popular parlance, beer parlor gossip.
Okay, well, I hope I have the time to get back to this election question, but you're a lawyer. You're a lawmaker. You're a senator. You're formerly a senator. Should a former rec of INEC be the chairman of a political party? In APC's case, your chairman, Nentawe Yewata, was the former residential electoral commissioner. There are concerns that this will compromise INEC.
Law and sentiments. Our country is a country that is governed by law. Section 1, subsection 1 of the 1990 Constitution provide for supremacy of our constitution. and Section 1, Subsection 3 provide for any other law inconsistent with the provision of the Constitution of Nigeria is null and void to the extent of that inconsistency. The question should be, is there any law that forbids a former rec from being appointed chairman of a political party? If the answer is yes, I will say that our party has conducted what is amount to illegality and unconstitutionality. If the answer is no, then you are taking us to the realms of sentiment and one of the things that even year one student law we taught is the point of divergence between law, morality, and sentiment. So we are talking about law here today. So unless anybody could come up with any provision that says Netanwe Yewada, because you had held this particular position, section so of the Nigerian Constitution or section so of INEC law prohibit free from doing that. Any other thing from that becomes realms of sentiment, and we cannot be engaging ourselves in some kind of sentimental discussion.
Yeah, because I was really thinking about the question of morality, but I think you have captured it there.
Yeah, one law students, you taught them there's difference between law
and morality.
And of course, morality is an open textured word, very subjective.
Very subjective. Okay, let's come to the elections. The past AG elections in Rivers State, local government elections, commentators and opposition have said it is unlawful, it's been done, but it's unlawful for a sole administrator to oversee elections. You can't build something on nothing, and that the by-elections APC won is not an indication of what's coming in 2027. We talked about it. So an article cries foul. He says, He declares the election in Rivers is a travesty of democracy and should be rejected.
You see where I laugh? I laugh when you said article cries foul. I think he needs bucket of tears if he wants to continue to cry, and maybe Water Corporation will supply him with water. Just as I've said, the question we are talking about is this. When you talk of emergency rule talks about what is not within the contemplation of the Constitution. You see, when some commentators come and said the president has no right to suspend the legislative arm, the president has no right to suspend a governor. When you talk of emergency is something that is out of the scheme of the existing legal norm. So now talking about an election conducted within the context of an emergency rule is also out of the existing norm. So you cannot be using a parameter of the existing norm to gauge what is occurring within the existing norm. Then there are two things. Issue of legality of the election can only be tested in the law courts, no matter what erudite any position is in terms of legal position, until you go to court. And when you go to court, you must also have the requisite local standing to be able to ventilate your grievance. So if there's a pronouncement by the court today that what has been done is illegal, we'll take it. But if there's, in the absence of that, at best, what you have is mere academic opinion, and the court has no room for such academic opinion. Then secondly, we won the election. You say it's not a test for what's going to happen in 2027. Then you are now, somebody says so, not you, I'm talking article or whoever, in their group has said that they are now becoming prophets. We are not prophets. At best, we are scientific politicians. We only make our analysis and make our prognosis based on existing fact and reality. So if they decide to become a prophet, we will not join them because we don't have power of clairvoyance. So they are arrogating to say to them power of clairvoyance as to what will happen in Rivers State in 2027. We don't have such kind of power. I'm not a prophet. I'm a politician, a legal scholar, and a legal practitioner.
And you deal with facts.
I will deal with facts
and figures, empirical.
Yes.
So to say. Now, still on that election, Yaga, Yaga Africa, they frowned at the fact that in spite of the electoral law, mandating use of beavers, it still wasn't used. So why wasn't beavers, or why shouldn't beavers have been used? Doesn't that rub off on the, I don't know whether to use the word legality of the election?
I think because this question you ask, issue of legality of election. You see,
on beavers.
No, on beavers. I don't want to tell you. Beavers. I like talking when I'm very certain.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know whether the electoral law of Rivers State adopts all sink and all
hook, line,
and sinker, the provision of Electoral Act in that regard, because we must be able to realize that Nigerian law is bifurcated between federal law and state law. When it comes to Section 7 of the 1999 Constitution, provide for local government administration democratically under the law made by the State Assembly. So I've not read the state River State law on local government election and local government law and the point of intersection between it and the electoral law. And I wouldn't know whether you can just import the provision of the electoral act into so that's a matter that possibly I may have to do a research to come with a proper critique of what Yaga has said in that regard.
All right, thank you so much, National Secretary of the All Progressives Congress, Senator Ajibola Bashiru, for being on the program.
Thank you for having me too.
Good. Well, that's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Do join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, goodbye and thank you for watching.